It's cold. But here's the saltwater estuary box from Tackle Club for May. Alrighty, I'm going to start with the brand newbie. Let's go with the newbie in the box. This is a brand new lure from Berkeley. Everyone loves a good bent minnow. So we have one here from Berkeley. This is the Bender 76. This is a surface lure, obviously, and so good for so many different species of fish. I've used these for brim, whiting, you know, small squire, flathead. These are super popular on flathead as well. But what it is, if you've never fished with one before, it's like a bait fish profile that's bent, like a banana. So it's like a banana fish. It's not actually a banana fish, but it's a bent minnow. So it lays on its side and then the trebles hang underneath it. But the way you work this can differ. So if you work it like a walk the dog stick bait, so up and down, twitching your rod up and down as you're winding. But if you hold your rod tip down, this can actually cause it to dive a little bit and then float back up, and then dive and then float back up. If you fish it with your rod tip up, this will cause it to actually skitter along the surface. So you can fish these in multiple ways, which is fantastic. I like to mix it up. I'll like sort of twitch down and raise my rod up, twitch up, back down, make it dart, float, stop, pause, everything. Super erratic and can mimic fleeing prawns. You can mimic a wounded bait fish that's just stuck in the water column. Perfect. One of the first surface lures I'll tie on when I'm fishing the salt water. Not only that, but it's great for bass and stuff too. But back to the estuaries. So I'm going to be fishing this for flathead, probably just on the last of the outgoing tide or the incoming tide where those flats are. So you're looking for shallow water, like a foot or two, maybe 3 foot max. So fairly shallow water, because you're going to work this over top of those flats. Now, if you've missed those fishing times, because hey, sometimes now is the best time we can go fishing, we can't pick and choose. If the water's flowing out and there's no flats to fish, that's where you want to aim for, because as that water flows out of these gutters, it's going to be bringing in all this bait fish as well, and that's where your bigger predators come along to have their fast food brought straight to them. So you're going to cast this in there and then just get to it. I'll probably drop my rod tip down so it dives under the water a little bit, add heaps of twitches. You're just going to keep twitching, maybe add a few pauses, but normally I'll just keep that action going, just constant wind, twitch, over and over. Then we're going to move over to one from Rapala. So this one here is the Shadow Wrap Fat Jack. So previously there was the Shadow Wrap Jack, which was a slender profile lure. So the Shadow Wrap Fat Jack is more of a chubby version of that lure, because it was so popular they had to make another version of it. This is a chubby style version of the Shadow Wrap Jack. It's a mouthful, I've got to say it slow every time. I've got this one here in the brown prawn color, and this is going to be perfect for a brim. You're going to look for your oyster racks, the rock walls, just your normal brim hideouts for this one, and I'm just going to work this on a very slow to medium retrieve. So don't need to worry about getting twitchy with it. Just cast it out and then just a slow to medium retrieve. That's it. Super easy to fish. If you want to troll with this, that'll work perfectly as well, but you're going to be looking in the shallower waters, like around the 2 to 3 meter mark if you're trolling for flathead. But I'm predominantly looking at this lure and thinking brim and maybe whiting as well. Then we're going to jump over to our soft plastics. So everything here, I've still got 4 more items, but these all kind of marry in together. So we've got here the Gad Jets Footsie. So these are about a 3-inch paddle tail plastic, and then we're going to marry them up with our Damiki Rig Jig Heads. Probably my favourite jig heads to fish with, just because of the finish on them is sublime. I don't use that word very often, sublime. But no, they do look very good. They've got a super sexy finish with the eyes, like a pearlescent eye. The shape of these jig heads means they dart and weave through the water quite easily. Super strong hooks as well. I've used these jig heads for barramundi, for snapper, for mangrove jack, for bass, you name it. Cod even, I've used bigger ones for cod. They're great jig heads. So you're gonna marry these up with your Gad Footsie paddle tail plastics, and I'll probably be using these to fish for maybe smaller mulloway or flathead. I'm gonna be bouncing them along the bottom because they are a heavier jig head at 1/4 ounce. So long cast out, let it sink and hit the bottom. When your line goes slack, you just do 1, 2, 3 small hops. A lot of people when they do the twitches for flathead, sort of raise their arms to twitch. I like to sort of keep my arms low and just twitch with my wrists. So the reel of your rod and the butt, that's where you're gonna be doing most of the twitching action rather than with your arms to twitch. This is kind of a smaller twitching motion. So you're not gonna be doing huge jumps off the bottom, just smaller twitches, which is great for those predators that are sitting on the bottom of the water column. And to go with that again, that's what I'm saying, this all sort of ties together. You've got your Gulp Gel Rub on scent. Now, I don't know if everyone watching this has fished with Gulp plastics, but the scent on them, it's just, they get bit. So they've made their scent into a rub-on gel. So I'll definitely be using this, rubbing it onto my plastics, just to give that extra bit of scent and kind of entice these fish more into grabbing and then not letting go. And then last but not least, another soft plastic option here, but we're moving away from the fish profile. This is the Damiki air crawl plastics. So I have here the 2-inch plastic. So these are gonna mimic essentially a little shrimp, a little saltwater yabby. You can make it mimic a fish, but obviously a saltwater yabby is probably more what I'm looking at here, which is gonna be dynamite for your whiting. So I'm gonna rig this up on as light a jig head I've got. I often carry with me 1/12 or 1/24 of an ounce, so fairly light. So to cast that though, you do need fairly light braid. So probably like a 2 to 6 pound braid will be perfect if you're gonna fish these ultra light. If you're gonna fish these with a heavier jig head and maybe chase some flathead, that's fine too. Probably look at a 6 to 10, maybe 12 pound braid, and then go with maybe like a 1/6 to 1/4 or even 3/8 of an ounce jig head, if that current really is roaring through. And that's it for the saltwater estuary box this month. If you want to check it out or any of the others in the range, just head to www.tackleclub.com.au, pick a box that's right for you and the species that you chase, and welcome to Tackle Club.